Yeah, what could be done about the law? Well, something can be done.
I can address that part
Because
too.
the thing is,
we can talk about that part.
Because, right, you understand that they signed an anti-Asian hate crime bill.
Well, it's already a law out there that's an anti-hate crime.
It's anti-hate crime, but there's nothing specifically for black.
But no, it's all no. The thing is it don't have to be specific for black.
Yeah, it does.
Asian. And the thing,
it does need to be specific.
The anti-hate crime, it says dealing with race, color, religion, national. It's all in there.
Because police officers have the qualified immunity and they're not labeled when that stuff happens. Those are not labeled as hate crimes. You understand that, right? Like that, it's just related as a civil crime. Because
you can report it as a hate crime.
It should be.
The thing is, certain states don't even carry the hate crime. People don't know that.
Certain states don't carry hate crimes as a
Yeah, certain states don't carry the hate crime. Certain states. Now it's a federal law, but states have a choice. Local and the state have a choice.
Well,
and they,
Oh yeah. So with certain federal laws, the states don't necessarily.
I know
have
two
to.
States don't have nothing.
So if it's
across
federal, right? The same thing with the crime bill, with the crime bill that Joe Biden, shout out Joe Biden, passed in the 90s with Bill Clinton to help with him as well, right? That they incentivize with the federal bill, the crime bill for the crack cocaine, they incentivize the states to take on the federal law by giving them funding if they change their laws. So when I say stuff like, because, right, can we all agree that systematically in this country, right, there have been laws that have specifically targeted black people to their detriment. Can we all agree that's not true?
Yeah, I agree. Because that's why they were saying like the drugs.
So with that being said, being that there has been specific laws to target black people, there needs to be specific laws to remedy things specifically for the black people that were targeted. That's why I say, like, when people say you can't use or you shouldn't use specific language like black, well, there was specific language used for black when there was segregation, Jim Crow laws that were specific for black. So if you want to remedy the issues or remedy the problems that stuff created, you have to incorporate specific laws for black people to remedy it. You can't incorporate a law across the board that's saying, oh, this is going to help black people indirectly when you didn't indirectly disparage black people. You specifically targeted them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's why I'm saying the law is there, even though it don't say particularly black, but that's why they made it for, it's supposed to be a general, made it for everybody.
But you know
what
why,
I'm saying?
But you know when they say everybody, what happens with those when you do that stuff?
Yeah.
It dilutes the potency of what it's supposed to do.
So one thing is that even though a lot of states don't recognize it as hate crimes, but you can still report it to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Once you report it, even if the state don't consider it, if the state choose not to run it as a hate crime, you still can report it. See, people don't know they can still report certain things as a hate crime to the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
And then they have to investigate it and be able to prove that
because now it's on a bigger scale. Because I can tell you 2 states right now, like Wyoming and South Carolina, do not have nothing across the board as related to the hate crime. Those 2 states. Now, other states have different things they take off because you got different things you could take off. If people don't need to look up your state and find out exactly what is the rules or regulation or what's the law.
But I know why you said what you said, though, like with like it being like specific for black people, because I feel like in turn that's going to be something that
every time politicians get up on the cameras, they say, "Oh, we're gonna do something for black people," and then it turns into something for everybody. And I'm like, "How? That's not how this works." I said because the law was specifically geared to black to undermine black people. You have laws in this country, literally laws, and some that are still on the books, active laws that are still on the books that specifically targeted black people for disenfranchisement. So if you want to repair the black community, if you're serious about it as a politician, I want to hear what you're going to do specific for black people. Just like they did things specific for the Dreamers that targeted Latino immigrants. They created an anti-Asian hate bill. They didn't incorporate an anti-Asian, black and brown, Native American hate crime bill. No, it was specifically for Asians due to COVID. Yeah. So when people tell me that, oh, these politicians can't say that or they can't do anything, they literally just did it in our face. They literally just did it in our face, and they're gonna come around and tell us again, oh, they can't do anything. I think it's very important, and these are some of the things that I'm glad that we're talking about, because we are here in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg area, York County area. We can organize locally to run. I always propose running independent candidates. I don't know what y'all think about that. I'm a political atheist, if y'all don't know. I don't believe in either party because both of them have certain agendas that I don't agree with. And I'm as a man who has certain principles and morals that I try to stand on, I'm not going to get behind either party, especially when I see my people in the certain predicaments that they're in. And you go up, you drive up South Tryon or South Boulevard in Charlotte, and you see all these homeless folk, and they look like us, and they just get moved from place to place. Instead of like us worrying about, all right, who we gonna vote for president, because that's what they put in the media they want us to focus on. Well, how about we concentrate on the city council or the mayor,
local? It starts with the local government
and get our own people, because when you have certain politicians, they bring the parties bring the politicians to you. You don't select these folk. You don't did anybody raise their hand and say, oh yeah, I want to vote for Jim Clyburn, for all my South Carolina folk? Did y'all raise your hand and say that's who y'all want to run to represent y'all? No, they presented that person to y'all. So the same thing needs to come along here. If we have influence, right, and we know enough people in this area to, if we can't necessarily affect anything in Ohio that we just saw, but we can affect certain things that are happening in our neighborhood.
Locally. That goes around. Everybody can start locally. We always talk about the president. I always tell people is a lot of the decisions is who you put in the Senate and your representatives.
Who your district attorney
your
is.
district. Exactly. People don't realize a lot of things have to go through them. A lot of stuff, even the president can make a law, he still have to send it through the Senate or the representatives, so they still have to make a decision. It all has to start on the ground level, community level, of who you represent, who you want representing your community, then go from there. Community, then you go to locally, state. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to start there. That's where change can start happening.
Yeah, well, and it has to start. I'm glad you used the word change, right? Because it starts in our own minds. We have to change the mindset of only caring about who's making decisions every 4 years, and we have to care about it. We have to care about it every 2 years. You have to care about it every year in some particular races in your region or in your state or in your area, right? A lot of people don't even know who their city council person is for the district they live in the city. Some people don't even know what district they live in.
That is true.
They just wait for the pamphlet to come in the mail to their house to tell them where they can go vote. This is where I go vote at. I didn't even know that elementary school existed. But that's where I'm supposed to go vote. Some people don't even know that.
They don't even know the ticket and the agenda that folk is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Running on.
Regardless, that's my point. Regardless of who's on the ballot, they don't even know where they can go vote at, because they haven't done that research. Exactly. That has to change. Yeah. That's where the change has to begin. Listen, this is what I will say, and this is where I think it's very. We're in a weird and not good position with a lot of things. There's a whole lot of experts that ain't never done what they experts on. I'm not going to sit here and claim to be an expert on police training. I'm not, because I didn't go through it. I'm not going to sit here and try to be an expert on what the Army trains their men. You did it, not me, right? But everybody's an expert on what they ain't done.
Exactly.
True.
But they don't want to be they don't want to be an expert on what they have done, right? You whether it's social media or whatever the case may be, somebody can say something and the next person comes out and says they don't know what they're talking about. And you know why I can say that? I know this is a fact because I've worked in the media for nearly 20 years. And people tell me all the time, the media is creating a narrative. The media is making stuff up. When you're a media member, you get the information from the people that were involved. Yeah. In a particular case like this young man in Ohio, the information, and some people are not going to like what I'm getting ready to say, the information is coming from the authorities, the police department, and the district attorney. That's where it's coming from. That's who conducts the investigation. It is their job to present the facts. If you feel like these are the people that are not presenting you the facts, why the hell did you vote that district attorney in? Wait a minute. True. Did I just go full circle and bring it back? I sure did. And I did it on purpose. So at the end of the day, you have to know who you're putting in place. And if you don't trust this human being or these set of human beings, why are you voting for them? Why are you putting them in place? And why are you trying to be an expert on something you weren't there for?
Let me ask you.
That's one of the biggest problems that I see globally.
So let me ask you this. So like,
preaching over there for a minute.
With that, right? Because we're saying, all right, well, don't vote for these people, right? Which I agree with. That's why I don't vote unless I do some significant research, and then they have to be aligned with what I stand for.
Yeah,
that's what it should be.
Yes, but also, especially in this situation when we're dealing over and over again with the recurring instance of us black men and black women being targeted by allegedly the ones who are supposed to protect us. And there is nothing being done to remedy the situation. I hear they need more training, which means they need more money.
Yeah,
that's what that means. You know that's what that means, right?
What we've been talking about, what we've been defund the police and all that stuff.
I don't know what defund the police looks like, and I'm not gonna even get into that because we could be talking about that for a long time. But I will say is that I don't think it's a training issue. I really don't think it's a training issue. I think that they're not being held accountable. Like, because people say, like, all right, well, not all cops are bad. And I'm not here to say that all cops are bad or all cops are good, right? Because there's nobody good but one, and that's God. But let me not get that right. But the thing is, right, with this is that, yeah, you can say they need more training or we have good cops, but if allegedly these good cops are not keeping or holding the bad ones accountable, how can you call yourself good? If you allow something to occur over and over again in front of your face, if you know your boss is robbing from employees, robbing from customers, and you continue to watch it and condone it, what does that make you? You're the same because you're strengthening the hand of the evildoer.
And I feel like the police how long has the police been around? Like hundreds of years.
The original slave catchers, actually.
So like it's that's a fraternity. Like it's just one of those things. You get into like police work like that. I feel like you can't it's just unwritten like rules and laws. You can't tell on your sarge. You can't do this, that, and the third. Like we hear about all these guys. Sometimes they come out and they try to
do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like go to the press and let them know about what's going on inside some of these police forces. But like you never hear anything else from these guys. You never hear anything else about those type of reports. And it's just like it just magically just goes away. Nobody talks about it anymore. Like me, I feel like the government, so much can be done to really open it up and make things be kind of flat level when it comes to even just training, choosing the right personnel for these positions. Like you have just take it for
psychiatric tests and things like that.
All that you get for me the police you have guys coming from these rural areas. And they want to become cops in these heavily populated cities, inner city spots. They don't know how to relate to none of the people who live there at all. And now you know what I'm saying, you doing routine traffic stops and you might be in an area of town that you just definitely not familiar with at all. It might be rough. It's heavily populated with black and brown people, and you don't know how to relate. So you already got your guard up. It's just one of the things I really feel like they really need to start putting people who can actually relate and like do their job effectively without it like being something where you automatically up on your guard. Like, not saying that the cops shouldn't protect themselves, because like you should definitely protect yourself, but like don't go into every situation thinking of the worst. Like it's
one thing you said. I know they should. It's two things really. One, training. I do agree they do need more training. And I do agree that they need to be held accountable. So both of those things really are very important. Now, the training, they go through the regular basics. You know, you learn. Now, I do say you need to be put on a stress level.
Stress management,
just stress level.
He's talking about finding a base level to where they know that if you get to a certain level, you lose. You have an inability to stick within your training, and you basically go to. It's the construct basically of fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
And how you handle that situation. I think that's what you're getting.
Yeah, I'm getting at. Yeah, so they need to put through a more stressful situation. So now
in their training,
because when you learn how to deal with things in a certain situation, you learn when it actually comes to the street, some of the training that's stressful that you've been put through, now you could translate it to when you are out there. So you can't, you won't just get deviated from like, oh, now what I'm supposed to do? First thing, I got to fire, things like that.
I heard different stuff like, all right, well, get more police officers, get more recruits from within the community, right? Now, depending on where you live, like, you may have in certain areas of the country, like Brooklyn or certain, Brooklyn, New York, for example, like a lot of the population in that area have become sour to the police. Like they don't mess with the police because of the years and decades. So like, they say they want more recruits from within the area that they surrounded, but you have to make that population comfortable and want to do that. Like, I get it. Like, heavily populated areas are always going to have more crime than places that are not. But this idea that, it's up to us as the people walking around to make sure that we are the ones trying to, I guess, build a bridge or cross that bridge, I don't think that's fair. I think it's the other way around. I think the police have to go above and beyond on their end.
What does that look like?
What would it look like in regards to the police coming? Yeah, well, that's a good question, man. I think it's a layered question. I think part of it is...
And the reason why I ask that is because it's always about what the solution is, right? I'm never going to be the person that continues to bring up the problem. I want to try to figure out what the solution is.
Solution-oriented thinking.
That's exactly right.
And we will get into the solution in our next video.
On the next one.